Hello, all of you whack bastards. How you doing? It's me, Mr. Moohead. We got to have our heads examined if we continue to cheer for this team. Holy shit. I mean, we must be some kind of self-haters, man. We're like self-mutilators. We're like people who just take nails and crucify themselves. And there's no religious connotation to the whole thing. It's just that they want to punish themselves. My God almighty. And we have the always ready to complain, David Talevsky, joining us just now. We've got General Dog, how you doing? And Tony the Calf, and myself, which is probably, yes, Ken, the big dick of truth. And see, if you're not even familiar with the program, it's so big, you just can't avoid the big dick of truth. And what's going to be coming up in the next several weeks, that's right, more death. Players will be traded and gotten rid of. Look, he's peering into your eyes. It just means that somebody is going to get whacked. That never fails. Oh, my goodness. Look who's adding onto the stage now. Jesus, he loves me. Amen. God bless you, even though you didn't sneeze.
What's up, man?
Oh, I'm glad your Steelers did well. But, you know, your Steelers aren't very good. You know that, don't you? I mean, they had to just barely, I mean, they were given every opportunity playing a dwarf. I mean, the guy's a dwarf. And they still, you know, they couldn't put a lot of points on the board. And Aaron Rodgers' arm is not exactly what it used to be. Yeah, and not as bad as the Browns did in Pittsburgh. But there's no immediate cause for Diane Keaton's death except she knew Woody Allen. That would probably be the greatest reason. I got a lot of things that I want to talk about, but one that I just need to just literally get out of my system. The people on the network broadcast were saying, you know, there's just no, there were no long plays, no deep plays, none of that. You know, it was like everything is short. And here's the thing. There will never be downfield plays. There never will be. And the reason that they can't do it is because they insist on playing multiple tight ends, and it doesn't matter even if Njoku's out of the game. They'll put Whitehurst in the game or whoever that they put in, and whatever fourth string tight end. There will never be any downfield action. Here's another thing. Are you on drugs? I don't know that you know, doing things like this is what got Jesus crucified, dude. You don't want to be doing that. And I hate to tell you this, but I was raised in a Jewish family, and we got him once. We'll get him a second. No, I'm joking. Please don't take me seriously. Wait, I got something in my eye. So at any rate, no downfield plays. And here's some things that I noticed. And when I see Dylan Gabriel a little bit more, I can tell you a little bit more about him. And the first thing I can tell you about him is that his accuracy dwindles the further down the field he throws the ball. That's the first thing. And that's what I'm sorry, but I just have to, you know, I can't be disrupted during a program. So don't make me kick you. Don't make me do that. You know, at least I can mute your microphone so I'm not being interrupted. If you want to make faces, you can make faces. Go ahead. I know. It's an irresistible thing. Yeah. No, I'm a lot bigger than that. Here's the deal. He throws the ball over the middle consistently. And he's got pretty good accuracy throwing it over the middle, but so do a lot of people. But as soon as he has to sling the ball toward the sidelines, the ball's sailing. Do you notice that? And that is a bad sign that he's trying to put something extra on the ball, but it's just sailing and everything's high. The last pass you saw in the game, too, when he's trying to put a little mustard on the ball, it just sails out of his hands, and there is no accuracy in that part of things. And they don't have a single play that they run out of their playbook that gets the ball down the field. And if you can't run the football and you can't throw the ball deep, the whole game is compacted in the field, and there is just no way you can possibly win. So that is my how I see the thing. General Dog, how would you put your take on this overall?
Well, it's not really surprising. We just don't have the horses on offense to do much else other than throw the ball short and pray for a miracle. When your offensive line can only give you a second and a half of time to drop back and throw, there's not much you can do. This game was too predictable. There's nothing you can do when your tackles are a turnstile for TJ Watt. Yeah, there's nothing. You're not going to be able to do very much.
Yeah, and it's sad seeing Leviston and Cam Williams. Is that his name? I mean, this is the second time that Cam Robinson, that the Texans have raped us. I mean, I don't know how many more times this has to happen. I mean, it is. I mean, this guy can't play anymore. He literally can't play anymore.
Yeah, I was telling my nephew, I said, yeah, no wonder the Texans didn't want him anymore. Jesus.
Yeah. Well,
no help at all.
No, Jesus doesn't want him anymore either, because he wants to win too. Anybody who wants to win doesn't want Cam. That's for damn sure. Now, Coach Wilson's right, dead spot on. I was told Gabriel's stellar running ability would be a huge advantage in this offense. He's slower than I am. He is slow as a tortoise on that field. Did you see him get caught by Ramsey from behind? I mean, yeah. Ramsey's one stride was like 3 of the Munchkins.
I don't understand why Gabriel's feet are in concrete lately. I didn't see that in college.
The game's so much faster in the pro level. I guess we see things, when you're in Oregon and you're playing, Boise State or whoever the hell you're playing, maybe it doesn't show up so much, but he is way too slow. I mean, he's not going to get out of the pocket. Tackles were running him down, for God's sakes. He's very, very slow. And I'll tell you right now, he is not the answer at quarterback. He will not be the answer at quarterback. It's not that he's terrible. It's that he's a backup at best, but he's a backup where you have to have a running game and you have to balance the run and the pass. He threw 60 passes out there today, and that's just insanity. Absolute insanity. And it's really hard for me to understand how we end up with an offense that is this poorly organized. And I'm watching guys going the wrong way again. I'm seeing receivers going the wrong way. I'm just seeing just complete mass confusion. And Kevin Stefanski has to be let go. And it will probably happen at the end of the season so they can have the worst record possible, so they can get more draft picks that they'll whiff on. Another thing, I want Steve Podesta publicly executed. I want to make sure that there's absolutely no chance he could come back. Even if they wanted him, he'd be dead. You can't have an analytics guy who consistently convinces you to pick the wrong people. It's just, it's mind-boggling. Then the third part of the equation is that we have a lot of young players on the field. You're seeing Schlesinger make some really good plays, but he's overrunning some, he's being a little overly aggressive. And instead of staying in his zone, he's kind of roaming more than he should. And again, with the speed of the game, you can't do that. the defensive back that we got in exchange for Greg Newsome got burned twice. We got away with it the first time because Aaron Rodgers is old man River and his arm couldn't get the ball to Metcalf. But the second time, it wasn't as long a throw and he didn't have to really get any elevation on the pass. And the guy just got burned. And I don't know how we find these people, why these trades are made. I read before or right after the trade went down that he was the most picked on player in the Jaguar secondary, and he was number 3 in the NFL on getting picked on. He isn't good. And, and I didn't like Newsome. Newsome's attitude to me was just, woohoo, I held him to an 18-yard reception.
He got burned for a touchdown today, too.
Huh?
Newsome got burned on his first snap in the game today, too.
61-yard touchdown.
And that figures. So I'm going to bring Brian in. You're in, Brian.
Yay, we won another game.
No, we're not talking. If you're going to talk Panthers, you'll have to start your own stream.
I only saw the scoreboard, so I don't know exactly how they gave up 2 touchdowns in the second half.
Yeah. I
was too busy watching fucking Dowdell have a game of his life.
Yeah.
Bengals just picked off Jordan Love.
Oh, really? Well,
in the red zone. So
yeah, but we'll see what happens if they can. Is Browning? Oh, it's Flacco now.
It's Flacco.
Yeah, Flacco gets to throw the ball over the pukers' heads.
No, he's right there in
Chase, catch
scoring zone, man. He's got it in great scoring position, So you can't complain about that. So I'm sure he'll do well because, again, everything Jimmy Haslam touches turns to shit, everything. It's we have bad ownership. That's the story of Jacoby Brissett. Nearly won. Jacoby Brissett nearly won. Yeah, you get it.
High register on that one.
and all the disparaging talk, Raul, that you can have because of your blatant racism, it isn't wanted here. So goodbye. Okay. I'm saying goodbye to you because you have no respect for somebody. And look, I'll tell you something. Shador wouldn't be doing any better, but I can't give you an analysis of what the problem on the field would be with Shador. But
it would be the same thing. The offensive line couldn't block. He'd be running for his life, and nobody would be able to catch the football.
I think he would have been at least a little more elusive than Gabriel is, though.
Oh yeah, I mean it would have been hilarious watching him run around like a Black Frank Tarkenton.
It's a big what if.
I don't. You could have said like Fran Tarkenton, this is not a MAGA fucking platform. We don't talk race here, okay? We don't talk race. Do you get it? Will you ever get it? Not going to have it because this is not the way to quantify a person's skill set. I'm trying to sit here and say, what does Dylan Gabriel bring? And I thought more mobility, but he looks as slow as Flacco, damn near. I mean, General Dog, are you seeing it any different than I?
No. I mean, Gabriel had almost no escapability. Even when he got out in space, they were chasing him down from behind.
I mean, I know that Shador's not fast either. But, if you're going to be a pocket passing quarterback, the thing is, if you're Dylan Gabriel, you need a running game. And the Browns got shut down early, and they never went back to it. And that's Kevin Stefanski. He just gives up. Just gives up. And, the play calling is erratic. 60 passes for a second game for a first-year quarterback is just going to get him hurt, and that's no good. And Big Lurker UK is there. 17 or fewer points in 11 straight games. Yep, and they'll break the record because there's no way, there's no plays in the playbook. The only way that they could get points would be a fluke return where the referees didn't throw a flag, or just missed tackles or some such foolishness, or somebody who falls down a couple of times because they're drunk on the field, whatever it is,
Well, Black was off to a rip-roaring start, 4 plays for 1 yard.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Bengals went
Yeah.
3 and out on their first possession.
Yeah, it's hard to play for a team that doesn't have a good offensive line. And once again, Conklin went out. He's now got a concussion allegedly. And
One for like 2 years.
Oh, that's a surprise.
yeah, really. And Leviston's in there, and Cam Robinson. Is that who he is?
Well,
yeah,
one of them,
really
one of them
sure.
just got hurt on that final drive, and
yeah, it's just no good. You can't. And what's so ridiculous is, why do they insist on taking TJ Watt and letting him be one-on-one against somebody when these people don't even know? I mean, they're not even chip blocking. They're not even, it makes no sense to me whatsoever.
It didn't look like me, like they were even trying to block him.
No.
He was just saying, "Excuse me," to our offensive lineman and just going right to the quarterback.
Yeah, and AFOX, congrats. Good try by your Tigers. Yeah, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You don't score enough runs, you don't win. And Tarek Skubal, I'm sure, is probably really pissed off because he pitched as good a baseball game as he could each time out, but his team just couldn't score. And we know all about it in Cleveland. And, somebody had to come out of our series alive. And I have no anything about Detroit. And as far as the Lions, I got nothing negative to say about the Lions. I lived in Flint, Michigan.
I'm rooting for the
10 years.
Lions for the NFC. They give us Clevelanders hope.
Yeah, it's somebody eventually has got to, for you, I don't know how long you've been a Lions fan, but if you remember Wayne Fonts, it's like, how do you waste Barry Sanders' career?
Well, Wayne Fonts just gave us a blueprint for doing that.
Yeah. Oh, Wayne, the thing I loved about Wayne Fonts, and like I said, I was in Flint, Michigan for almost 10 years. And, I was a Browns fan, but you had to watch the Lions because you're up there. And I went to a few games, was invited to be in, where they, the indoor areas, the loge, one of the loges. And it was really, it was terrible. They were playing at the Pontiac Silverdome, and that surface was killing more receivers and football players than you could imagine. They were ripping their knees out on it. It was probably, along with the Astrodome, the two most dangerous places you could play. But they would lose in the most ridiculous way possible, and Wayne Fonts would shake his head and hold his hand out to the opposing coach and say, "Yeah, congratulations." It's like he was surrendering before the goddamn game began.
Oh, jeez.
Look at this fucking quote.
I can't read that.
We just got a fucking Shermer.
We gotta get it fixed. We gotta get it fixed because before you start winning, you gotta stop losing. We're doing some things right now that are preventing us from winning.
That's Pat Shermer.
Is that Stefanski saying that?
Yeah, that's his quote in the post game.
He is a dumb Pollock.
Stop losing before you start winning.
He worked with Pat Shermer, so it's no surprise he's.
That's deep.
No surprise he turned into him.
Why would you say that?
He's just an idiot, and we just have to move on. And again, you're stuck with the players that they've brought in here, and they're not going to win another game this season unless there's some kind of gifting involved. And what hurts about this is how easily you give up a running game, and you notice that the Steelers managed to get their 100+ yards. They managed to get that, and it wasn't that they were getting it early, but they kept at it, and they started making little bits of progress. The Browns just caved in and gave it up. And
Mason Graham,
men versus boys.
Mason Graham 3 games in a row now has been horrible.
Well, I can't really focus on Mason Graham. I mean, you need to see game film to see what was going on, but you did not hear his number at all.
Yeah.
You didn't hear him. But I don't want to, again, if I don't know something, I don't say something. What I do know is that you're not going to have a downfield passing game ever with David Njoku, who was hurt and was limping on the field, and why you would play a crippled tight end who isn't that fast to begin with. I mean, he's fast for a tight end, but not for a wide receiver. And why you would do that, and why you continue to put in 2 and 3 tight ends. I mean, Fannin is fine. He can catch the ball, and he seems, although he had a bad drop down on the sidelines, he did have some good catch and runs, and he's a player that you can nurture. I just want one fucking tight end. I don't need more than that. I just don't need more than that.
We can keep Fannin and trade Njoku. Njoku needs a change of scenery.
I think so too. I think that he's got some gifts. I don't think he's ever had consistently good hands. I think that, but like I said at halftime, the only hope of using him is using his height and throwing the ball up. But it doesn't look like Dillon Gabriel has touch. You know what it reminded me of is when Boomer Esiason would throw his left-handed passes and they would sail. But everything he's stepping into and firing, there's no touch, as opposed to Aaron Rodgers, who doesn't have the stuff anymore. He doesn't have the fastball anymore, but he will find a way to get a ball, even if he just pooches it out of his hand while he's being sacked. He's got presence on the field. Dillon Gabriel does not have touch. And that's going to make it very hard, because if the ball is not directly on the numbers, it's very hard to snatch a ball that's high when it sails, that is thrown with him with a windup. I mean, he looks like one of those old 1930s, pitchers. He's winding up and compensating for his lack of mass. And I don't want to be too critical of Dillon Gabriel, but you really start seeing, when you see him play 2 games back to back, the similarities and the problems, and the fact that there are no plays that are being called for him that are downfield passes, because obviously the head coach knows he's incapable of doing it. And he also knows that he has wide receivers that he doesn't want to have do that that's not part of his offensive scheme. And I think that, the sacks, he's trying to limit the sacks. Everything that Kevin Stefanski does is what I would say, it's like protective. There's nothing that is offensively oriented. It's like, we're trying to eliminate the possibility of this, this, and this, as opposed to we're just going to go out there and assert ourselves and do this, this, and this. And that's why they can't win in Pittsburgh, because Tomlin is at least determined. He's at least determined to do things the way he's going to do them. There is no determination in Kevin Stefanski, just a stubbornness that makes no sense to me at all. And, Ron is saying that it reminds him of Colt McCoy. And, it has an unfortunate feel of the backup quarterback emergency guy, and not somebody who can make a big play when you need it. And, he had Judy in the end zone, and he threw the ball too late, and it threw it out of bounds. Anything that was downfield did not look accurate to me. The only passes he was completing were little things out of the flat to the running backs and things over the middle. That's why Fannin was the leading receiver, and they were playing soft at the end of the game, because I knew the clock was going to be the Steelers' friend. So, and people are going to ask about, what about Shedeur? And the bottom line with Shedeur is that, then you'd be starting all over again with something else, but it's the same circumstance, no protection. And, how accurate you are, a lot of it has to do with how patient you are. And if you're going to hold on to the ball too long, which is Shadur's MO when he played in college all those years, he holds on to the ball too long and he takes sacks. You're going to get stripped. You're going to have turnovers. So I don't see any quarterback, whether it's Joe Flacco, Shadur, or whether it's Dylan Gabriel or whomever, that would come into this situation and make it look better, because there's just,
and even if you get a pass off, if you get a good pass off, you throw it to Judy and he just fucking crab claws it into the ground anyway.
Yeah, he can't catch the ball. He's got a mental thing. And I think, and I'm going to say something that I have felt for some time, and I believe it now 100%. Football is a tough game, a real tough game, because I've talked about lifespan issues with NFL players. I've talked about, how crippled they are later in life. And, Bernie Kosar would be talking proof of the kind of damage that NFL football does to human beings. You have a prime, if you're lucky, and you're not just one of the guys who's on the kickoff squad, on the death squad. You will have X number of years to do something. And sometimes if you're a guy like Myles Garrett, you'll take the big money. You can be talked into it, but you can tell the look on his face after the game. Oh, it's another day at the office. Myles Garrett doesn't care. All right. And he was invisible in the game. He doesn't care. And I'll tell you that they all don't care. He never shows up in Pittsburgh. They all don't care. They're playing for such a bad organization. If you take away the glory aspect of professional football, can you imagine if, like, the gladiator who would win in the arena, would just have to go back to a cage and at least he ate well and he got laid after winning. This is not happening for Cleveland football players. It is a cumulative damage, and they don't try hard anymore. And I don't see any signs of anybody flying around the field. I don't see any real effort. I see a lot of people going through the motions. That's it. That's all I see. And I've been seeing it for years. It has become more and more noticeable as Kevin Stefanski's tenure has continued, that these guys don't want to be here. And
his tenure is about over.
Yeah. But you got a bunch of guys who don't want to be in Cleveland. And to be honest, I wouldn't want to be there either. I wouldn't want to play for somebody like Jimmy Haslam. He's a hateful man. I would not want to play for him. And I'm a Browns fan. I'm a Browns fan from the perspective that I want the players to do well and do well for the city. I grew up in Northeast Ohio. I still live half the year in Northeast Ohio, and I care about the area. I really deeply do. But I don't care about Jimmy Haslam. And so that everybody knows where I stand, Jimmy Haslam is a thief and he's a racist, and I will have none of it. I will have none of this shit. None of it. And I can't do anything about Jimmy Haslam owning this team, but he's a con man, and he's getting his way to make more money in a dome, and he's going to make people pay over $200 for a ticket to sit and watch what you just saw on television. It's horseshit. It's absolute horseshit. So, some fans, they just want to just get angry. And I think that's what's happened with society in general. People just getting angry. And so they turn on each other and fight. I just kind of say, I hope for a better day for the organization, but knowing in my heart that as long as Jimmy Haslam's there, nothing good's ever going to happen. Nothing good's ever happened that he's had. Nothing. He inherited a trucking company from his father, and he ended up getting
FBI
sued.
raided his headquarters.
That's right. He's an absolute loser. And he's the type of person that I have absolutely no respect for. And the players have to feel the same way. My God, it's a clown show, and they know it, and they're in the middle of it. Some of them are getting paid a good amount of money. Some of them are getting paid a good amount of money. I see that David, why don't you tell us what it says? Because I don't really.
Mary Kay asked Miles Garrett if it's harder and harder to dig deep and keep pressing on him into losing like it was for Joe Thomas, and Miles said, "Yep."
Well, there you go. And they'll trade him so they can get more lousy draft picks because they don't know how to do that either. And it's just the way it is. And it's disheartening for sure. It's a very disheartening thing. And I one of the things that I want to say now, so that people understand, I have an open address for people to come right into the studio and be a direct part of the program. That's been that way ever since the technology existed for me to be able to do that. You don't have to wait in a queue, wait in a line, and hope that somebody will call on you. You know, that's a great thing. I am married to an African-American woman who is proud of her heritage, proud of her family, and her family was proud of her. And I will not sit for it. I just won't. And it is because of deep personal feelings that I have for my wife and respect that I have for my wife that I'm just not going to sit here and laugh shit off anymore. You say shit like that, you're off and you're not coming back. I can't have that. So please understand, it isn't that I'm being hateful toward you. It's that I don't want that on my channel. I really don't. And if it's
the Steelers guy that did that?
No, I'm not going into it. And the bottom line is that I won't. I just won't have it, and it sidetracks the program.
Yeah, we don't want racial bigotry or politics here.
Not at all. Well, and it's bad. There are politics involved with the ownership of the team, perhaps.
Oh, but sure there is. I'm talking about general politics.
Right, not governmental politics. None of that either. So let's see what else we have up here. Mark Sanchez will be the Browns' next head coach. I can't begin to tell you who's going to be the next one.
Won't be the right guy, that's for sure.
Well, I just don't know where you find the right guy when you don't have the right players. I mean, let's be honest. If you were looking for a head coaching job and you saw this motley crew of people on a roster, you know you aren't going to win. You don't even have a freaking quarterback. You don't have anything that's proven, and your entire offensive line is basically off to the graveyard. They're done. They're finished. And there has to be some incentive. The only incentive that would make a person want to be the head coach of the Cleveland Browns is that they've never been a head coach before and they're going to get that opportunity. But what good does that do you? If a guy's got no freaking experience at a job and he's coming into something like this, it's going to be a disaster. You're going to end up with, I don't even want to go through the names that we've gone through that were just horrific. So it really makes things difficult. And there isn't enough of a sell point on Quinshon Judkins and Schwesinger and Fannin. That don't mean anything. You got to have big players. You got to have people who can make big plays. And honestly, the reason Joe Flacco's dick got hard when, to go to the Bengals was, first of all, he was out of Cleveland and that made him feel better. And second of all, he looked at T. Higgins and looked at Jamar Chase and he said, wow, I got some people I can actually throw the ball downfield to, and there's a chance that I could make a difference in that scenario. But you can see that Joe Flacco running out of the pocket, getting hammered from behind is no different than Dylan Gabriel. Any quarterback, and that goes for Shedeur Sanders as well, will have the same problem because there's no separation in the secondary. There's no way that the offensive line can hold off the people for any length of time. So it doesn't even matter what quarterback you play. The assessment that you see is you can just see how slow Dylan Gabriel is, how short he is, and how the ball tends to sail out of his hands when he throws to the sidelines. And he almost had a few picked off on the sidelines because that would have gone the other way. And that's what's waiting at his doorstep if he continues doing that.
Yeah,
so
you're only hoping it's going to be a long 3 to 4 years is the clean house of the organization. pray Haslam will fucking stop meddling.
We keep saying that, but it'll never happen. You know, and when he said, you know, he'll make the mea culpa that, yeah, I'll tell you that Deshaun Watson decision, that turned out to be a real bad one there. And then it's like, well, maybe Jimmy's coming to his senses and he's going to sit it out, you know? But the next thing you know is, and with the 5th pick, the Browns are taking Shedeur Sanders. And it's like, you just drafted a quarterback in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know that Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski didn't want Shedeur Sanders because you can see how they're handling Shedeur Sanders right now. They don't want him.
Yeah, you saw them in the draft room. They had blank looks on their faces and they were clapping. Like,
yeah. It's like, this is a Jimmy move. So we keep saying this over and over again, but he's going to meddle no matter what. And he's making more money than you or I or anyone you'll ever know could possibly make. So he's successful in his eyes.
It's interesting you haven't brought up Andrew Berry and all this.
Legend is in his own mind.
Yeah, that who hasn't brought up Andrew Berry?
You haven't. You discussed DePodesta, you discussed Stefanski, you didn't discuss Berry.
Oh, nobody asked me. Are you asking me?
Oh, yes.
Andrew Berry works for Jimmy Haslam. So does Mary Kay Cabot. All right. There are people who need to try to establish some credibility. The problem that Andrew Berry has, if he defies Jimmy Haslam, then he's going to be out of a job. And who is going to hire the general manager of a team that has been losing consistently like the Cleveland Browns have? So, you know, you look at it from a human perspective and you could understand the straitjacket that he's in. Now, if he's competent at what he does, then he should have enough confidence in himself that he should just tell Haslam to go pound salt and find a job somewhere else. But there's only, 31 of them. And that makes it very difficult. It's a very small number. And you don't want to give up what's so hard to get. That's a big part of that. As far as the draft decisions that are being made, I don't think any of us know what the equation is. How much input does DePodesta have? How much input does Andrew Berry have? How much does Kevin Stefanski have? And how much then does Jimmy Haslam, who can outvoice all of them in virtually any other circumstance? We don't know what the formula is, but it's sure as hell a losing formula. I don't know how much money Andrew Berry has, and nobody wants to look at a quitter. And I think that you're going to end up getting fired. I think they all are going to end up getting fired by Jimmy Haslam. But I don't know. I never had a problem with quitting because people who are losers and you can't make them winners. I know this. And I know that the Cleveland Browns will continue to suck for as long as Jimmy Haslam's there. That is an absolute 100% certainty. There won't even be a glimmer of light. And we can't get him out of there. So there you have it.
And I know you have a lot of respect for Jim Schwartz, but I got to say, 3 years he's been here, and they weren't last in the league in red zone defense. That's inexcusable to me.
And I understand your point there, you know, but what I will tell you in the end is this. When the defense is down in the red zone and they're already down by 2 touchdowns or more, the motivation starts failing. And they know that the offense can't generate 24 points. They know that. So, you know, everything that we do in athletics is, you know, I was a singles player in tennis, and I loved singles and I didn't like doubles because you had to rely on someone else. Then my knee and my back, I started having problems, got to get a knee replacement. I started playing exclusively doubles. And then you understood the teamwork and the give and take and the yin and yang that you needed to have with your partner. Who got to serve first? Who plays what side? Who has the better backhand side, the better forehand side? From, you know, what do you do to set up your partner as opposed to setting yourself up on a singles court? And you have to start thinking more broadly about how you go about doing that. The problem is there's no yin and no yang for the Cleveland Browns because there's no offense that there hasn't been for a long, long time. And the defense doesn't believe that the offense will ever be able to produce a goddamn thing. And they let down. And invariably, I don't think it's Jim Schwartz. I think that it's the fatal component of the Cleveland Browns, which is they don't have the feeling that they're in a foxhole together and they got to save one another. I think that the defense just gets fed up about the fact that they keep stopping teams and keeping teams legitimately in like 17 to 20 points a game. And they're not even in the fucking games. I think they're just has reached a point where it's just bad. So you're not going to get a better defensive coordinator from a statistical perspective than Jim Schwartz. So, you're not going to have a defense that's given up as few points as they've given up this year. I mean, my God. And they're giving up. You can see them with your own eyes starting to cave in. So, no, I'm not going to blame Jim Schwartz. I'm going to blame the fact that we don't have camaraderie between the offense and the defense. There isn't the respect that's needed or the belief on the part of the defense that if we dig in just one more time, you'll come through for us. There's no belief like that because it doesn't happen.
And that fucking roughing the punter didn't help matters either, but
that wasn't a roughing the punter. He was blocked into the
That's
guy.
what I thought.
Yeah, that was a bad call.
I think everybody knew that. I mean, there were a few calls in the game, but it's always the same thing with the Steelers. They hit you in the side of the helmet and they look the other way.
They always call it on the Browns and never on the Steelers. Always.
Yep.
Patrick Queen wasn't even trying to fucking tackle people.
Right. He hurt his own guy. I think that in the end, it becomes monotonous and I can't even get excited about it anymore because I know there's going to be 3 calls that will help turn the game around for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And no, I think that the officials are paid to do it. I think that they're ingratiated to the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. But you're not allowed to try to block a punt and the guy blocks you into the punter and there's the flag that they needed to keep the drive going. And so what is your option? Not to try to rush the punter? I mean, you're afraid to do anything because they're going to find a reason. Or like the Vikings game where the Vikings guy is showing the ball in the face and taunting the guy, and then our guy, responds and it's like flag on Cleveland. It gets old. It just gets old. The only thing you can do is to be proactive. And what I learned when I owned radio stations is I came into a market and I was going to let every motherfucking competitor know in that market that I was in it to win it. And I would do whatever was necessary to win it. And that means I would go on and do crazy editorials that would rip the newspaper in town, that would rip the other radio stations. We would parody the other radio stations in town. We would run massive billboard campaigns that were bizarre campaigns that were insulting toward our competition. Because every place I went, the big multinational people wanted to say, hey, here comes a little guy in here and we're going to really show him. They don't fucking show me anything. You got to go in with balls. And I don't see that from the Browns. I just don't see it.
They're definitely not a punch him in the mouth and keep going kind of team. No.
And that's, again, if you're in the thing for the long haul, you either lead by example or you quit. You either land that first punch and show somebody that you can do it so they'll have a little respect for you, or you don't and they'll have no respect for you. And nobody has any respect for the Cleveland Browns. Every team that plays them knows that somehow a crazy thing will happen that will allow them to win at the end of the game. That's the way it's been, and that's the way it continues to be. And we're talking now about a time, we're talking about 25 years. I mean, since this new version of the Browns came out, it's been the most horrendous thing that you can't possibly be a fan of. You can't. And unless you just want to be angry for the rest of your life, I just don't have it in me. There was no way that I was going to let some asshole who's a multinational, a multi-state radio station owner just think that they can smear me into the ground because of their investment portfolio. Fuck that shit. They had to run a station better than I did, and they couldn't fucking do it. And that's what you do with a football team. If they want to think, oh, we're the Steelers and we're going to come in and we're going to do this. No, you fucking can't. And you show them. And if you're unable to show them, you're a loser. Right out the beginning. And let's bring the Moose in. Hey, Moose, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. I don't know. Next week, moving on, it's the Dolphins. They've got the same record as Cleveland. If we don't try to win that game, then it's obvious we're tanking. If we do try to win that game and we don't win that game, then it's obvious we just got young boys and old men playing for us.
Well, I think that's the case.
I don't know
anyway.
what to say. I mean, next Sunday is the last game before the Cavaliers' regular season starts. So we can forget about the Browns after next Sunday and concentrate on a team that actually is built together, tries to win, tries to do things every offseason, incrementally to help the team as best it can. And it's got an owner, say what you want about his personality, but he spends money and he cares about winning. And I just think the Haslams, if Jimmy Haslam died tomorrow, we'd still have D. Haslam running the team.
Yep.
Their son's running the team.
Yep.
The NFL needs to sort this out so that teams cannot be passed down from generation to incompetent generation to an even more incompetent generation. And you don't have to look very far. You look down at Cincinnati and see the incompetent ownership there. You look at the Raiders, see the incompetent ownership there. You can look at the fucking Colts and see the incompetent ownership there. The only teams that are run decently are teams that have newish owners that actually care about their fucking teams, or the Green Bay Packers, which is how your team should be run. So this needs sorting out because these franchises are going to suck forever unless the NFL does something.
And I can respond to this in a real favorable way. People told me long before I was involved in podcasting, of course, when I was still, owning radio stations, that the Cleveland Indians were never going to win anything. They hadn't been in a World Series, won a World Series since 1948, and there was and hadn't been in one since 1954, and this was never going to go away. And many are called, few are chosen, but nobody would have predicted Dick Jacobs buying the team and literally invigorating that team by infusing not only money into the process, but a group of people who knew how to identify young players, and not just to bring them up in the minor leagues like Jim Thome and Albert Bell, but to find the Kenny Loftons and the Sandy Alomar Juniors and the guys who were already up in the big league level playing for teams and weren't really getting a chance.
Yeah, the trade for Vizquel for Felix Fermin.
Yep.
I mean, come on, there's loads of examples of that. And they named a stadium after him, Jacobs Field. So
yep.
They kept the name of him. I mean, are they going to call the dome the Haslam Dome, for God's sakes?
No. I mean, it's...
What has he done to deserve any sort of honorific whatsoever? He's done nothing.
Yeah. And who wants to go up to the only Brooklyn that doesn't have a fucking subway? I mean, I got no interest hanging out Brooklyn, Ohio. I mean, give me a break.
I got the same thing with the Haslams, not the Haslam, the Al Lerner statue outside of Cleveland Browns headquarters.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
what the fuck? Come on.
What'd he do? Yeah, what'd he do, man? Oh, I mean, it's Cavs season coming up. That's my point. I mean, this is my last Cleveland Brown rant.
Well, I mean, and what I understand about everything is Dan Gilbert, and I'm going to tell you that Dan and I would not get along.
No, I mean, not a lot of people do get on with him.
But it's all right. It's all right because I don't have to have him over for dinner. Okay,
No, you don't.
And I don't have to. It's what works. And if what he does, the way he handled Teron Lou, I didn't think was particularly good. And neither did Teron Lou because he was getting sick. He was literally getting ill.
Yeah,
because
we were watching him get ill in front of our very eyes.
The 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning phone calls were getting to him. That's not the way I would run a company. But I will say this, that the Cleveland Cavaliers got hit with many death blows over the course of the last decade or 2 decades. And they were a real shit team, and they got the fortune of getting LeBron James, but then they built a team around him. And it's like, who would have thought that we'd have gotten Kevin Love too, and Kyrie Irving too, and you start adding all of that stuff up, and it culminated in a championship season. So I'll never say anything bad about Dan because
like 3 other finals too. I mean, against a team that the NBA put together out in Golden State that had to be manufactured to beat us.
Yeah, and he did what he was supposed to do as an owner, and he made a lot of money, and he's worth the money because he brought the goods to the game. He got the title, and that's what the fans want more than anything else. And to yell at each other and to make blatant comments about people's race and politics or whatever. But the bottom line is, all I care about is just win, baby. I just care about Cleveland getting a little bit of positive press because they won something. And I hate it when I see people taking the wrong courses of action. And if Jacobs could do it with the Indians, who were so terrible, when he took over, they were terrible. Or just talk about after Ted Stepien, that Gordon Gund came in. And the NBA came to Cleveland's rescue. They did.
Exactly.
And so they got us Wayne Embry. They got us a legitimate general manager. Lenny Wilkins, a legitimate head coach. And then because again, you remember what happened with the Cavaliers. You had a guy who said basically, what we need around here is more white players. And that's what you end up with, is you ended up with Luke Whitty and God only knows who, a slow bunch of trundling players. And you couldn't even, you had Lambeer and you let him go because you had no idea what you were doing. And you were an advertising executive. You shouldn't have owned a basketball team. And they were in such a bad position. But look how quickly it got turned around when just proper decisions were made. And when the league said, okay, we're going to give you a couple of picks. And look at how they hit on the picks. Yeah. Look at the job that Wayne Embry did.
And all of them.
You got Harper and you got Mark Price and you got Hot Rod Williams and you got, and then you started making trades and you got Larry Nance Sr. and you started getting people who really could help the team. And you actually had a good Kevin Johnson, who was a really wonderful point guard who went out to Phoenix to get Larry Nance Sr. You had talent, and that allows you to maneuver and get more talent. But the Browns, the only way that they can't get anything for their talent, really, because they're always in a losing position with a losing hand. And the people play out their contracts and don't want to come back to Cleveland, and Cleveland's left with nothing.
Yeah.
So that's why the Browns perpetually suck.
But a decent owner could come in and do something with this franchise. So
the fan base could be united to some degree, just by winning. I can't say for sure.
Nobody's going to come in here and help us. Nobody gives a shit about Cleveland.
Well, I don't believe that either. I believe that, what I'll say is what I'll say, and it's what I believe. Nobody gives a shit about anything until it can make them more money.
More money, yeah.
And they started, they were all witnesses when LeBron was playing in Cleveland. So Cleveland was the most televised NBA franchise while he was here.
Absolutely.
So you got all the press coverage and all the attention. The fact of the matter is that if you build it, and they will come, and not for the right reasons, but because they're whores and they want to glom on. So Stephen A. Smith can talk about you, and ESPN, the multinational conglomerate, can just sit there and spew out whatever stuff they're going to spew out. But yeah, when you're the Browns, you're either made fun of or you're just not talked about at all.
The adjective that's stuck to us is now lowly. It's not just the Cleveland Browns; it's the lowly Cleveland Browns. You never see anything written about lowly in front of it. Oh, the Dolphins play the lowly Browns next week. Who's going to be the battle of the 1 and 5s?
Well, the reason that Jimmy Haslam found the fountain of youth is he's a succubus, and what he does is he sucks things out of people,
sucks the energy out of everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's 70, 71 years old. He's not young. He's not that long for this earth.
Yeah. And Rich is go ahead.
The Dolphins are more lowly than we are. You got Tua in the postgame saying, "Oh, the guys are showing up late to the players-only meetings."
They're going to beat Cleveland.
That's what we're going to see, man.
Where's the game being played?
I believe it's in Cleveland.
It is in Cleveland.
They're going to beat Cleveland.
It's a 1 p.m. game.
Yeah.
But we'll get who's the bottom announcing crew that we can possibly get, like
the janitor.
They're going to bring back Don Criqui.
Oh,
90 years old Don Criqui for this.
And season. Rich is right. I mean, Mike Brown and all of the everything that's happened through the years for Cincinnati, they get a guy who's a good quarterback. They've crippled him because they have no offensive line. And they snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. That's what they do.
The Bengals have done basically the same thing to Burrow, what pretty much the Browns have done to Mayfield. Just let him die and get hurt and be rubbish.
I'll tell you something.
That's why I'm saying. Yeah, that's why I'm saying Burrow should do himself a service and demand to get out of there.
Exactly.
Running on empty. All right, I'll respond.
Thank you, Jackson Brown.
MKC has credibility with the organization. No one stirs up more drama. All right. And that is a very cynical situation. And it's the Stephen A. Smith formula. And you just get everybody angry and worked up, and you don't give them anything that is of substance. There's nothing
positive.
And no information about who the Browns trying to get, and she is just literally taking her marching orders from the owner of the Cleveland Browns. And if you want the ownership of the Browns to own the media as well, then you're also a person who wants the federal government to own the media as well. You want people to leverage, the people with wealth, to leverage everything. Correct. And you'll never hear the fucking truth. And that's the importance of a free press. That's why free press is the most essential thing. There have to be truth tellers out there, but Mary Kay Cabot is not one of them. And the Browns, in a kind of a microcosm sense, they're a big moneyed organization, and they don't want somebody who has any degree of, seniority in their job saying anything negative about the organization. And they could care less about a fat ass like me. They don't care about that. But the bottom line is that there's really nobody who's able to put any pressure on the organization to change the way they're doing things. So it's unfortunate. And
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, and this is where we are. There's a long list of things we got to do better. And the first one, we got to find a better coach. And that's that. For God's sakes. I wish I had anything else to say, but and I don't think that Gabriel looks awful.
No, I think he's okay. I mean, he's We've had a lot worse quarterbacks.
He's not DTR. All right.
And he's not Kaiser, and he's not
Right.
Cody Kessler, and
He's
not,
trying his heart out.
know.
He has limitations, but the limitations are surrounding him. He doesn't have weapons. And,
doesn't
you
have
know,
anybody blocking for him.
and, you know, and
we get a palate cleanser at 6 o'clock. Yeah. Or 7 o'clock Eastern. The Cavs and Celtics are on ESPN tonight. So
8 o'clock, right?
7.
7?
Yep, 7 your time, 6 o'clock Central.
Ooh. I thought they were on at 8 o'clock. Are you sure about this?
Let me
We're into my ESPN
Yeah,
app.
it's
It says
7.
6 o'clock Central
Oh, no. And the game's in New York?
in Boston.
Oh, in Boston. I'm sorry. They're playing Boston. Yeah. Wow.
I already have my palate cleanser.
I better get the hell out of here because I got to eat dinner and watch the game.
Yeah, it's an Eastern time, 7 o'clock. Midnight start if you're in the UK, like me and Big Lurker are.
All right. Well, I'm done then. I got to get out of here, so I got to watch that game. But everybody, thank you. Moose and David Zalewski and Tony and General Dog, everybody in the chat room. I appreciate your participation. And for those who got expunged from the panel, just understand that I'm trying to run a different kind of ship now, and I won't tolerate that kind of stuff. If Shadur's not good enough to make it as a professional quarterback, eventually he'll get his chance somewhere, and then we'll be able to quantify and assess it. But we don't have to, be slanderous about it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and I will see you again tomorrow. And until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.